Greetings, fellow Dungeon Delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons, where we work together to come up with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition builds for your favorite League of Legends champions. Today we're building Kindred, the Eternal Hunters. Kindred is the duality of two combined spirits, the Shepherd and the Butcher. Lamb, the Shepherd, brings down their prey with arrows and a swift, kind end. If they manage to escape, Wolf, the Butcher, chases them down and turns a merciful ending into a slow, brutal end. Kindred are seen as a part of the natural order, and when they come for you, it's better to simply accept Lamb's respite than suffer Wolf's frenzy. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to thank one of this month's Doran's Blade patrons, Kamaragoni. Kamaragoni chose Kindred to build as part of the rewards for our Blade tier patrons. Speaking of Blade tier rewards, we released last month's homebrew, Denizens of the Void, onto DM's Guild. This month's homebrew is Into the Frozen Tundra, based on the Freljord. We also started a cool little merch shop. Come join us for discounts on that and homebrewed content every month. Alright, now let's get into it. First, let's cover the goals of this build. Bringing souls to their final rest is the job of the Kindred. We'll need the tools to do so. We'll do that by loosing hailstorms of arrows and unleashing Wolf. Finally, Kindred needs to be able to ward off death for those whose time isn't up yet. For race, we're going to hit up the Mythic Odyssey of Theros for the Satyr. Satyrs have a +2 to Charisma and a +1 to Dex. It's clear that Kindred isn't quite of the mortal plane, which works because Satyr are considered Fey rather than humanoid. They have the ability to ram targets with their horns as unarmed strikes. These do 1d4 plus your strength mod and bludgeoning damage. Magic resistance will give you a chance to shrug off spells and effects by granting you advantage on their saving throws. Mirthful leaps will let us get some mobility for our Q, Dance of Arrows. Whenever you long jump or high jump, you roll a d8 and add that as an additional feat that you can move. And finally, you get the Reveler feature, which gives us proficiency in performance and persuasion. For background, Kindred seems to mainly stalk the wilds, so we'll go with Outlander. This will give us proficiency in athletics and survival. We also get the Wanderer feature, that essentially gives you GPS in an area as long as you've been there before. You can also Bear Grylls it up and find food and water for your party if they land in that area can provide it. For stats, Kindred is all about balance, and nothing is more balanced than the standard array. Except maybe the universe when Thanos was done with it? Roll if you want to, but we need at least a 13 in our Dexterity and Wisdom for this build. Speaking of which, we're going to start off with Dexterity so Lamb can get her archery going. After that, we'll pick our Wisdom. They've picked up a thing or two over their tenure guiding souls to the great beyond. Next is Intelligence. Kindred are master hunters. This takes a certain amount of cunning. Charisma is something the pair doesn't rely on too often, but when they do, it's quite frightening. Constitution is going to be our second lowest stat. They don't really build a lot of health items as a marksman class. And finally, we'll dump our strength. Lamb could probably hit the gym, but if anyone suggested it, they'd find themselves quickly guided to the great beyond. The only equipment we'll need for this build is going to be Lamb's Longbow. Wolf is his own weapon, and we'll pick him up in a few levels. Alrighty, let's kick things off with a level in Ranger. Rangers have a d10 hit die and give us proficiencies in light and medium armor as well as shields. We also get to choose not 2, but 3 skill proficiencies. We'll grab Nature, Animal Handling, and Insight. Kindred is a master hunter, and having the insight to know who should live and die is crucial. Favorite enemy and Natural Explorer next. If you've watched this channel for a decent bit, you already know of my disdain for these two features. If you want to stay true to Kindred, choose humanoids and work your way through the races that inhabit Runeterra. For the Natural Explorer, choose Forest first, then have a ball. Second level Rangers get to choose a fighting style. Obviously we'll snag Archery to take a +2 to our Longbow attack rolls. Spellcasting also comes online for Rangers at this level. As always, we're only going to discuss the relevant champion spells here. First, we have Kindred's Q, Dance of Arrows with Hail of Thorns. As a bonus action, you empower your next ranged weapon attack that hits. On hit, the target of that attack and anything within 5 feet has to succeed on a dex save or take 1d10 piercing. Make sure you throw a Mirthful Leap before you fire this off for flavor. Next, we have their passive, Mark of the Kindred, which we'll cover with the Hunter's Mark spell. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You choose a creature you can see within range and mystically mark it as your quarry. Now, is that from League's notes or from D&D's? You tell me. Until the spell ends, each of your attacks against the target does an extra d6 of damage, and you have advantage on any wisdom checks to track it. If a creature drops to 0 HP before the spell ends, you can spend a bonus action to mark a different creature instead. Level 3 Rangers choose their Ranger archetype. We're going to solidify our bond with Wolf here with the Beastmaster option. This allows you to choose a Beast Companion. Wolf, obviously. There are a bunch of rules on this, but we're going to reach into the Unearthed Arcana and grab Wolf as a Beast of the Air. I'll link the Unearthed Arcana below so you can check it out, but it's a perfect match for Wolf, and I would be shocked if this wasn't included in Tasha's Cauldron. Rangers also get Primeval Awareness at this level, which lets them burn a spell slot and try to sense the presence of any of the following creature types within a mile: Aberrations, Celestials, Dragons, Elementals, Fae, Fiends, and Undead. 4th level Rangers get the first ability score improvement of the build. Try to contain your shock here, but we're going to forgo the first ASI for a feat. It's a ranged character, so you pretty much have to know Sharpshooter is coming. This is a really powerful, pretty overloaded feat. You can attack at max range without disadvantage. Your ranged attacks ignore all but full cover. And most importantly, when you attack, you can take a -5 to hit and add 10 damage if the attack still lands. Level 5 Rangers get extra attack. For most classes, this just means you get to attack twice when you take the attack action. Which it does here as well, but as a Beastmaster, you can also split these attacks between you and Wolf, so you each get to attack once. 6th level Rangers get another favored enemy and Natural Explorer. I have Blue Raspberry written in the script. My disdain cannot be more apparent. Level 7 Beastmasters unlock exceptional training. You can use your bonus action to tell Wolf to dash, disengage, or help. Also, when he takes a chomp, it counts as magical for overcoming resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks. 8th level Rangers get the Land Stride ability. This means you walk through any difficult terrain like it was a freshly paved road, including non-magical plants with hazards. Also, you have advantage on any saves against magically created plants that try to impede you. We also get another ability score improvement. Time to get our E Mounting Dread with the Martial Adept feat. Now, the Martial Adept feat basically takes a page out of the Battlemaster Fighter's book and gives you a taste. You get a D6 superiority die and 2 Battlemaster maneuvers to choose from to empower with that die. We're going to go with Commander's Strike, which will let you forego an attack and use your bonus action to direct Wolf, or any other ally, to use their reaction to make an attack and add your superiority die as damage. Level 9 Rangers get 3rd level spells. The only one we could pick up here is Conjure Barrage, which is an overloaded version of Dance of Arrows, but hey, overkill is still killed. You fire an arrow into the sky and it rapidly multiplies, creating a rain of arrows. Each creature in a 60-foot cone has to succeed on a dex save or take 3d8 piercing damage. 10th level Rangers get Hide in Plain Sight. This lets you camouflage yourself over the course of a minute. You gain a +10 to your stealth checks as long as you stay still against a solid surface that matches you. Level 11 Rangers get Bestial Fury, which will be our W, Wolf's Frenzy. When Wolf takes the attack action, he can attack twice now. If we combine that with Commander's Strike, we can get off 3 attacks for Wolf. For our final level in Ranger, we'll get an ability score improvement. Time to head to the range for some aiming practice and bump our dex by 2 points. Alrighty, now that we've got Lamb and Wolf's martial abilities down, it's time to become the Shepherds of Death with some levels in Cleric. Clerics have a d8 hit die and give us no new proficiencies. You choose your divine domain based on the deity you worship. We're going to go with the Grave Domain as the final arbiters of life and death. This gives us access to 2 spells, Bane and False Life. We also get 2 features associated with this class. Circle of Mortality allows you to forego rolling when you're healing anyone up to from 0 hit points and use the max values instead. You also get to cast Spare the Dying as a bonus action with a 30-foot range. Our final feature for this level is Eyes of the Grave, which lets you find the spoopy doopies within 60 feet as long as they're not behind full cover or protected from divination magic. You can do this your wisdom modifier number of times until you take a long rest. 2nd level clerics channel their divinities. This means you get the Turn Undead feature all clerics have and a domain-specific one. You can only do 1 per rest. Turn Undead is the standard cleric one that forces wisdom saves on any undead creature in 30 feet. If they fail, they're turned for a minute or until someone gives it a whack. Grave Domain clerics get Path to the Grave as their channel divinity. You use your action to curse a creature. The next time you or an ally hits with an attack, the creature has vulnerability, meaning it takes double damage to all of that attack's damage. If you have a paladin or a rogue, try to sync up with them as this will double the smite and sneak attack damage. Level 3 Grave Clerics add a few new spells to their list, Gentle Repose and Ray of Enfeeblement. Ray of Enfeeblement is like a poor man's exhaust. You make a ranged spell attack, which if it hits, cuts any strength using weapon attacks damage in half until the spell ends. 4th level Clerics get another ability score improvement. We're going to max our Dexterity here with 2 more points and get the most out of our Longbow attacks. Level 5 Clerics empower their turn undead to become Destroy Undead. Any CR 1/2 or lower undead that fail the Wisdom save are instantly disintegrated instead. You also get 3rd level spells. We'll take a few here for some parts of our ultimate, Lamb's Respite. Shout out to Peke7 for pointing this combo out to us on our Sunday build stream. The first spell we'll pick up here is Beacon of Hope. Choose any number of creatures within 30 feet, and as long as you maintain concentration, all creatures have advantage on Wisdom saves and Death saves, and they gain max healing from any healing die rolls. The spell is broken, and I love it as a healer main. But we also need the big heal at the end, which we'll pick up with Mass Healing Word. Choose up to 6 creatures within 60 feet and heal them 1d4 plus your Wisdom mod. Remember, if you cast in the Beacon of Hope, that'll be 4 plus your Wisdom mod. 6th level Grave Clerics unlock the Sentinel at Death's Door ability. When your DM gets that happy look because they finally rolled a crit, you just smirk and burn your reaction to convert that hit into a normal hit. You can do this a number of times equal to your Wisdom mod until you take a long rest. Just make sure you give your DM a box of tissues. I know I'd need them. Level 7 Clerics get 4th level spells. Time to get the more direct approach to Lamb's Respite through Death Ward. You touch a creature, and for the next 8 hours, anytime that creature would be brought to 0 hit points, it instead drops to 1 hit point, and the spell ends. Our final level in this build is going to give us an ability score improvement. We're going to bump our Wisdom up 2 points to increase our modifier, which will give a little more oomph to our last feature. Potent Spellcasting lets you add your Wisdom modifier to any cleric damaging cantrip. That bell is going to ring a little louder if you know what I mean. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. This build will truly allow you to choose who lives and who dies and whether they go smoothly or painfully. You do a relatively strong amount of damage, and you have plenty of flavor to carry with it. Wolf is pretty awesome, and I can't wait till Tasha's Cauldron codifies this feature. Now the bad. You are a bit of a squishball with only 116 hit points. Also, Rangers aren't the best designed class, but if you're playing for flavor, you'll have a good time. So, what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books used in this build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, including access to our Discord community and monthly homebrew releases. We plan on turning out one League Champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.